What's happening, everybody? Today is a great day. This is the Pensive Brothers podcast. This is Aaron.
This is Elliot.
Hope everybody is having a fantastical day.
Fantastical. That was an excited intro.
Yes, I am excited because first of all, season 2 is going well.
Oh.
We're making some changes.
Yeah,
you guys are peeping different areas of the studio every week.
That's right.
Right? So you're looking at some of my my band t-shirts
Your
from when I was in high school and college.
Y'all can't see the rest of this room, but it is definitely an homage to my brother.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll do like a room tour or something for the studio.
Listen, that's what is that? 5,000 subscriber special?
10, there we go. Special. Yeah, go. Well, I guess you guys will get that in 20 years. But
20? Nah, 2 months.
Right.
We can do it right.
Yeah. No, but seriously though, no, I'm feeling good, feeling great. I'm really, really excited, because of the demise of the world.
Nani? Wait, you're excited about the demise of the world?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because the planet is burning and everything is too hot and corporations are still making a lot of money.
I mean, listen, and our president has no comment.
No comment at all.
None whatsoever.
Oh,
he can't be reached for an interview.
Anyway. And the other guy who might be president is basically being indicted for a billion things.
I mean, it is kind of crazy that he has 4 felony counts in court and he can't stop truthing.
Yeah, he actually committed another crime the other day.
Yes, against a court order.
Yeah, and you know the indictment in Georgia is coming.
Yeah.
So it's imminent. So if you're like a super Trump supporter, I'm telling you right now, your boy's about to get indicted again.
Yeah.
So, and actually, I read today that the Fulton County in Georgia is saying that unlike the other indictments, they will be doing a mugshot. Like
what?
So
why they carry this so hard? They're like, hey,
just because he keeps getting,
we're doing a full perk walk. We're not playing these games.
They're not playing, and he keeps getting the rich people treatment. So we all know, or maybe we don't all know, but we all know that rich people get certain privileges when it comes to sweetheart deals and things like that. There is a thing called rich people jail where it's literally like a retreat where you're playing tennis and all this. You're not locked in a prison cell like traditional jail.
Which is actually kind of annoying because I always wonder, how do you get in that? So
man, rich people jail is probably really nice though.
Well, it depends on how long you get to stay there. Because your boy Sam Bankman-Fried is about to be in Gen Pop because he was caught intimidating witnesses apparently.
Yeah, and it's crazy because okay, let me give you all the background. Y'all know I like to do that. He's the guy who got busted for committing fraud doing, what was it, crypto?
He was doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he was doing fraud, and he got arrested, right? But the thing is, before I let you go, this guy was in the Bahamas. He went to the Bahamas because he knew this was coming, and then they extradited him. You know the whole point when you commit a crime, if you manage to get out of the country, most of the time
you don't get extradited.
You don't get sent back. Not all. But most of the time.
Well, because the idea is, hey, I'm going to send my lawyers back to the States. They're going to litigate on my behalf. Right. But I maintain my freedom until such a time as either I can make a deal to turn myself in for a lesser sentence? Yeah, a lesser sentence. Or
they extradite me.
Well, not even they extradite me. I don't like the sentence, so I'm going to be on the lam. Y'all just never going to see me. Right. That was kind of the Edward Snowden model where he basically escaped. Now, to be fair, I think the charges against Snowden were trumped up, and I really
they're garbage. He should have been pardoned.
I agree. And to me, there are a lot of things that were kind of obvious that Trump was lying about, but it really bothered me. Some of the really easy, really absolutely no questions asked things that Trump could have done just to put up a middle finger to the quote unquote establishment.
Right.
And in my opinion, if he was really the guy that people keep trying, even now, people keep trying to say, oh no, he's not, he's his own man. He's got his own money. He's not beholden to anybody. I'm like, nah, if that was true, there's no reason, because he promised on a campaign trail of his own volition it was an unforced error that he was going to pardon Edward Snowden and Julian Assange and those type people.
I mean, it's just didn't he say something about Mexico paying for the wall?
I distinctly remember a wall being paid for by a country of Latin American origin. I just don't recall if it was
ever happening.
Yeah, I don't think that happened. As a matter of fact, I think we paid for that wall twice because we paid for it for Trump to build it, and then
we paid for them to do portions or some nonsense.
No, well,
because Trump did build some wall, but It was a tiny amount, and most of it was wall that was already funded.
Here's the actual problem.
Under Obama.
Exactly. That the real problem is a good portion of the wall was already funded.
They already signed.
They had already signed all the paperwork. They had already bought a bunch of the material. So he was just continuing an Obama era policy, which to me is a bigger commentary on how the same, no matter who has been in office in the last like 20 years, everything is, because there are a lot of things that are like that. And you know, anybody who kind of understands details and kind of drills down on it, like in order for government to continue functioning properly, there has to be some amount of sameness. You don't want huge spikes of, you know,
drastic.
Yeah,
well, that's another reason why Trump was so like, I don't want to say dangerous because, oh yeah, we could say dangerous because he did, you know, he was pulling us out of like NAFTA, and you know, he really destroyed our relationship with NATO, but like he made.
Disruptive is probably a better word.
Yeah, there we go.
Because
he made a lot of large, unprecedented changes that were just like, okay, we're gonna rip up the Iran nuclear deal today.
Yeah,
we're pulling out of the climate accords today. It's like,
you know what aggravates me,
sir?
There is a thing that continues to happen around Trump that is very frustrating for me. Where
spray on tans?
Well, no.
McDonald's drive-thrus?
No. Why would that frustrate me?
Oh. I don't know, maybe because the taxpayers had to pay for all his Big Macs.
Oh, actually, that would be kind of garbage. We paid like real chefs. Maybe he could have ate healthier. While
At some point, I would like us to discuss Donald Trump's diet.
Oh, we definitely will have to. I mean, but he's
because you guys would not believe the things that this man eats.
I think they would. He eats like a TV villain.
He eats like a 15-year-old boy who just got a job as a dishwasher, and his parents work 3 jobs, and they never ever ask him what he's eating. That's how he eats.
I mean,
this man eats well done steak with ketchup, bro.
Ew.
What grown man eats well done steak with ketchup?
Now be careful, because there's probably a whole lot of people out here who eat well done steak with ketchup. It's gross.
Who's doing that? Name one person who eats well done steak with ketchup. An adult.
I don't know any monsters. Okay,
you don't know exactly. No one does that.
I'm just saying. There are probably people who do it.
Because we eat our steak medium well or medium, like an American. That's why.
We do eat them like adults should eat steak.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to what I was saying. There's this thing that happens with Trump where he accidentally stumbles onto like almost correct positions and then finds a way to jack it up at the very end. So like there were a couple of things that he did. A perfect example is the opportunity zones, okay? So a whole bunch of people who are not well-meaning, in my opinion, try to give Trump all of this credit from the black community when it comes to these opportunity zones. One, the majority of that,
I remember those.
The majority of that stuff was not even really a Trump creation. It was kind of like some people who were like, hey, we'll work with anybody who's in office. We just want to get these things passed. Kind of were able to get the opportunity zones established. But in some places, those things went the way that those things always tend to go, meaning some people who already had a lot of capital were able to further capitalize on the
and they weren't giving the contracts for them. They weren't to people of color. Like there was a huge issue. Ben Carson, they were asking him about
what does people of color mean? And when you drill down on it, this has always been kind of the problem with reparations and the conversation around reparations is when you drill down on it, more often than not, when you try to establish, okay, who is a descendant of slaves, who are people of color, what are minorities, like you can lawyer these things into all of these boxes that still end up with it being wealthy, mostly white people getting.
I mean, like literally, like affirmative action. Like the main demographic that benefited was white women.
Yeah.
Where, you know, the program's intention, even though I think the program had good intentions, I think the program's intention was not to just benefit white women the most, but that was the outcome.
Well, it's funny because the solution to that would be intersectionality, but you have to actually understand what that is to be able to apply it.
Well, lucky for us.
We do
understand
were supposed
to not get political today.
You're right. You just came out the gate with the wrong topic.
Well, I said that the planet is burning.
I mean, how is that not a political conversation?
I guess it is.
I mean, because the only way we're going to fix that is some political action.
Yeah, well, or
some
universal iced tea. Speaking of iced tea, let's talk about the Montgomery iced tea party.
Everybody's favorite.
I'm sorry, topic. Sweet tea party.
Sweet tea, Montgomery sweet tea party.
Montgomery sweet tea
party. That's
right.
Not to be confused with the unsweet tea party of our country's origin. That was crazy.
So for anyone who's been asleep under a rock for the past couple of weeks,
I mean,
let me tell y'all what happened.
Under a rock on Mars, if you don't know.
Just keeping it real with you, okay? I'm gonna give you the Cliff Notes version here.
Snap.
Okay, we've got a black security guard who is working at a dock in Montgomery, Alabama. He asked a white group of, let's call them boaters, right? People.
Yeah, they were on a boat.
He asked them, "Hey, move your boat."
Yep.
I don't really like. Everyone saw the video of the conversation. They were shouting back and forth.
Yeah.
And it was multiple of them. Okay, and just this guy. He asked them to move it. They said no.
He's
They're
like,
going
listen,
back and forth.
You gotta move it. You gotta move it. You gotta move it.
And then he tried to move it himself, actually. So what ended up happening was one of them attacked him. Okay? And when they did, all of them attacked him.
Now let's qualify he tried to move it himself, because I don't want anybody to misconstrue what that means. He didn't get on their boat. He was standing on the dock, and I think he tried to take the rope
it or something
off the I don't know what it's called, the mooring or whatever it is, the post that their boat was tied to in the spot on the dock that he needed them to remove themselves from.
Right.
He started to untie him, and the dad came and literally started throwing punches.
Yeah, just
and
sucker punched him right in the face.
And then his two sons came up behind him, and they started jumping this man. It was
and not just them, it was women too. They just jumped him.
Yeah.
Okay. So what ended up happening was, some of the other employees.
Yeah.
The guy that was doing the swimming.
Yeah.
I think he worked there.
He worked on that other boat.
They come try to help him or whatever.
16-year-old guy.
But again, this is after this guy's been being jumped. He was holding his own too. I ain't
listen,
gonna hold you. He was holding his own.
He was like, "Oh nah, we squaring up."
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So all these people come, and they get involved, and okay, we're gonna fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Then much more people show up. Okay, so now the scene has literally flipped. Now these couple of white people are getting jumped.
And listen,
because they thought in their minds, we're just gonna beat this dude up because he's not doing what we want him to do. And now I'm not even gonna ascribe racist intentions to them.
Nah.
Some people will, whatever. What I'm telling you is, from what I saw, these people viewed him not, telling them you got to move your boat, and they said no, I don't, and they decided they were gonna jump a black man for doing his job, and then.
There are so many facets to this story that are really interesting. Okay, So one thing I do think it would behoove us to put out is there was some word going around that these guys had racist Facebook posts immediately after the incident. It has come out since then that those posts are fake. So we do not actually have any verified information that this family is racist. So we should not cast those aspersions unless we have real evidence that comes forward, which we don't have right now.
And we don't even need to say, oh, they were racist.
Right.
Because they were wrong.
Right. The wrongness was them jumping a dude doing his job for no reason. You don't ever need to put your hands on another person. Certainly not another person who's just at work trying to do their job. Bro, I don't want to be here telling you to move your boat, but that's my job. I'm supposed to tell you to move the boat. You need to move the boat.
We've all had a job where you got to do something like that, where you don't want to do it.
Where you're responsible
you got to move
maintaining
people.
some amount of order. Yep.
Come on. And just to veer off on that, you guys. If you go somewhere and somebody's working and they're trying to tell you to do something, don't be a butthole. They probably don't even want to tell you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you're a parking attendant and somebody just park wherever they want, don't do that to people.
Here's the thing, okay? I don't encourage anybody to do the wrong thing. But if you're going to do the wrong thing, at the time when you get caught, own it. At that point, you got me. All right, I wasn't supposed to park here. You told me to move. All right, I'm going to move. Whatever. You got caught. Yeah. Let it go at that point. The problem always ends up being, once you get caught doing the wrong thing, you try to make it somebody else's problem.
Right.
It's not anybody else's problem. If you're wrong, correct it. That's it. So that part's interesting. The fact that this dude was just doing his job, and these people jumped him, and then immediately they felt the repercussions of that action.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time.
There's also,
in the infamous words of Ilhan Omar, they effed around and they found out.
Yeah, they found out big time. But then also, I was not aware of the history of this particular location.
Oh, yeah.
So these docks are nationally and historically known as one of the locations where a bunch of black people were brought in on slave ships. And there's a warehouse apparently a block away from these docks. These specific docks. Black people were housed in a warehouse, just standing there for days or months on end, waiting to be bought and sold like cattle. So for you to see a boat ostensibly full of black people at these docks, and then to do this, to jump a black guy on these docks, really feels like it's kind of like if you go to the Holocaust Memorial or the African American history museum in DC, and you turn a monkey in there. There are some places where, again, even if nobody else is showing reverence, even if nobody else is like really
thinking like that,
yeah, there are certain places where you should just have a little bit more respect for that place. Be like, hey, listen, if we weren't right here, in a place where my ancestors, really made a mess, I would tell you what's what. But you know what? I'm gonna move because we gonna be better than some other people who have been in the past. And then you go on about your way. And the dude would have been like, all right, whatever. Just move your boat, man. I appreciate it.
Right.
And that would have been the end of it. And y'all wouldn't have gone to jail or got beat up by a bunch of black people and got hit in the face with a chair.
And for me, it's like, so, okay, let's move to the most interesting part, which is the reactions, right? Yeah. So obviously, this is like Black history for us. Like Black people, it was good for multiple reasons. Like, I talked about Roland Martin's coverage of this. Yeah. And I watched the entire, it was like 40 minutes.
Yeah, where he had like a couple of people kind of speak on
it. Yeah, and so one thing that was super profound to me that one of the ladies on his panel said was, the reason why Black people have been so excited about this is because it doesn't usually end this way.
True.
First of all, thank God for the camera, because imagine if there was no recording and they came and said,
all
whatever
Black
they
people just jumped us.
Because it's not like they wouldn't have. You think they would have went to the police and said, no, we jumped him. We jumped him because he was doing his job.
Here's the crazier part. When the police showed up, half the police was Black, so they started trying to fight the police.
Are we all gonna just pretend like the police didn't kind of just let them keep beating up the white people?
No, listen.
Like, did you see the video of the police kind of just walking around? They handcuffed some people, but they was just kind of like,
because when they got
okay, I'll stop you.
Right, they got the story, and I'm telling you, there's video evidence of the dudes attacking the police officers as they show up. Mm-hmm. So police show up, they start trying to break up the fight. Hey, stop hitting them! Yeah. The 3 white dudes start punching the police. So they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess you want to fight. I'm not about to do it. They're gonna do it for free.
Yeah, and it feels good to see, people, marginalized people, and it doesn't just have to be Black people, but stand up, right? And to join together and say, no, not on my watch. I'm not going to just
We're not just going to let you do it.
Do the wrong thing, hurt a person of color, hurt a fellow Black person, just because you think you're going to get away with it.
Not when we can stop it. And you know what? That first guy swimming across the water like that, I think...
It was so inspirational.
He was the guy. It always takes one person to be like, "Hey, that ain't right." So
I'm gonna do it. Right. I'm gonna raise my hand.
I'm gonna be the guy that goes to say. So here's the call to action to anybody. If you find yourself in a situation and everybody is doing the bystander effect thing and nobody's stepping in to say something or do something, be the person. It's you. Nobody else is gonna do it. You be the one that steps up and says, "Hey, this ain't right. Y'all gotta chill."
Right. Because at the end of the day, they saw a man in distress. And the fact that they were willing to put themselves in harm's way just to support a fellow citizen, it was an inspirational thing to see. And besides, like, if no one does that, the violent, the evil ones win.
And that's, justice doesn't end up getting served when, the good people just stand by and watch evil stuff happen.
About your wife.
No, what? Oh my God.
I was about to say, who's serving justice? What?
Listen, no one but me. But I married Justice, so I don't have to, I don't have to look for it from America because I might be waiting for a while. Anyway,
right, yeah. There you go. But
so,
no, like it was nice. End of the day, I believe the gentleman with the folding chair was arrested. He was arrested.
They were like, arrested. We got to talk to that gentleman with the folding chair.
I mean, he was smacking an old girl over there.
Listen,
but I gotta tell you,
like he was in the WWE. I'm trying to tell you.
And it was a lot of hits. It wasn't like he swung one.
All right, it wasn't one good clean cut. No, hits. He was trying to make sure she won't get back up.
And every single one connected, bro.
Here's the thing, okay? The first time I watched it, it was funny. The second time, I was like, ooh, he really hit her with that
I don't care.
Though. I know.
But first of all, this is one thing that I know, okay? One, keep your hands to yourself.
True.
We're going to start there because this isn't about genders.
Nope.
This is about everyone. Two,
yup.
That lady that he was hitting men the entire time.
Yes.
If you watch the video,
she was
this is the part that I like the most about it, okay? And Roland Martin pointed this out when I watched his coverage because I didn't even pay this part any attention. But he said, look at the video. I'm going to show you this clip. The white woman is hitting the men and a couple of sisters come out because the black men defending the security guard were not trying to hit her. And then a couple of black women came out
and was like, no,
don't even worry about it, bro. I got this. Because for me, I get it. The men were like, okay, I'm going to defend this guy. here are all these white guys that are jumping him.
So we'll fight them.
Right.
But I'm not trying to hit the lady.
Here she comes punching black men in the face, pushing them, et cetera, et cetera. And they're like, okay, I'm here on a righteous mission. From what I saw, it looked like a righteous mission.
Right,
to me.
right.
But they weren't punching the lady in the face. And now my boy with the folding chair said, whoa.
It's equal rights and equal lefts around here.
This chair is rated E for everyone.
Yeah, he was not playing
come on over here, ma'am, and take a seat. Like
face first. Here you go.
But I don't condone violence. But I definitely am a huge proponent of self-defense. So if you're gonna put your hands on somebody,
hey, listen,
man or woman, you need to be prepared.
Yeah.
For somebody to put their hands on you.
Once you open that door, the violence stops when the person who can fight better is ready to stop fighting.
Because I promise you,
that's the thing you always gotta remember.
If when those white boys started jumping him, if she had exited stage left,
they wouldn't have.
She would have never got hit.
She could have done what all white women have been doing. Oh my God, stop! Just in the background, standing off to the side. They would have left her right alone.
Where are all the Karens to call the cops?
They did
on them.
Wait, no, they did call the cops on them. They did.
They should have called the cops when they were just on their boat doing nothing.
Well, so according to some of the other reporting that I've seen, this is not the first incident with this particular group of people.
Really? Yes. I haven't seen that. Okay.
So my understanding is they've had a couple other altercations with this particular dock because they go off of this pier on a regular basis.
And they were drunk.
And they drink.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you're piloting a boat, you can get a DUI if you're drinking while driving a boat.
I don't know
you're
who was
supposed to do that.
To be fair, I don't know which member of the family was driving.
Correct.
And also, we don't know which people were drunk and which ones weren't. I just know there's no way.
I assume if y'all jump a black person in front of a whole crowd of black people who are all videotaping you, you probably at least on low sauce.
You can just tell by the way it went down. They just knew
that
they were just going to do that and get back on the boat and go about their day. Like, they just, like, you could...
My question is, how many fights have they been in the last 10 years? Because they have not been paying attention.
Well, one last piece to the story. So the family that was jumping this gentleman, they own, like, a store or something.
Yeah.
So... that store has been annihilated.
Oh yeah,
with bad reviews.
Well, they're probably
gonna protest outside if they haven't already. Okay. I don't know. I haven't.
And again, I have to at least try to do my part to clean up the ecosystem. Okay, they have not been posting racist stuff on their store page. There is a fake page that is showing their store, but it's not really their store. So if that's what because right after it happened, somebody made a spoof account with all their pictures and their information on it as if it was them.
Yeah.
And they just started posting a bunch of crazy racist stuff. That is not them, according to all the information that I can find. So just, don't peddle that stuff around. These people might be drunk and rude and crazy, but
if you have a business that you want to survive,
you probably shouldn't be out here doing
You probably shouldn't go and
stuff.
Jump innocent people.
You know what? You're kind of right about that, actually. It's probably bad for business.
You remember what Dad used to tell us when we were kids?
I don't.
About, so our dad used to tell us all the time, the best way to stay out of jail is to not commit crime.
He still says that, actually.
But I remember it's funny because
it's one of those things that stuck with you.
But it's like oddly essential to tell someone.
Here's the problem.
And these people
crimes. And to be fair, all right, he also says they can make just about anything illegal if you look at it at the right angle. So so you might be able to not go to jail if you don't commit crimes, but you might commit some crimes you didn't know were crimes until.
And if you don't want to get jumped by black people, don't jump.
Don't jump black people. It's probably going to be a good idea.
Don't jump anyone. Let's all go back to the days of fair fights and keeping our hands to ourselves.
Listen, wait, those two things don't go together.
Well, hey, if somebody hits you, they're not following the first principle. Well, let's have a fair fight. But let's all go back to keeping our hands to ourselves.
That's
and if we have to, maybe a fair fight.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know when we have ever kept our hands to ourselves, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But a good segue, we can kind of juxtapose the fate in the water in Montgomery with this craziness that happened in New York. I know, right? But this craziness that happened in New York.
With Kai Cenat?
Yeah, Kai Cenat.
Man. Is it Kai Cenat?
I think it's Kai Cenat.
Cenat.
I have no idea what the heck that last name means.
I thought it was Kai Cenat. Anyway, we know who we're talking about.
Y'all know who we're talking about. Famous Twitch streamer. He's now #1 Twitch streamer, which is crazy. Big ups to him. But
he's awesome, actually.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd say awesome, but
he produces interesting content.
Yes, and I understand the appeal.
With B and C level superstars actually go on his show.
Yeah.
And he plays video games. They have funny conversations. He does all type of funny videos, all types of stuff.
And the thing is, Kai came up with AMP, which is it's like a whole group of guys. It's him, it's Phantom, it's I think Duke Davis, Agent Zero, and a couple others. All kind of came up together, and their story is actually really cool. So if you're interested in like a group of interesting people, I won't say they're good or bad. I won't give any qualities to them. You can kind of make your own determination after you watch their content and whatnot. But they are interesting people. They have like really big personalities, and they were doing this giveaway. And listening to Kai kind of describe like where his mind was at when he put the event on, and then like how it kind of went to the left, and the stuff he condones and the stuff he doesn't. It's very obvious to me that this is a really young dude who just made a bad decision. I feel like New York City is trying to pin him to the wall for like what feels like bogus charges to me. Yeah. Even because I could see something about improper licensing for an event.
Yeah, I did see like
something along those lines.
He didn't fill out any paperwork to have a wide scale event, and which you have to do.
Right, and so his mistake, and he owns it in the video that he did when he was talking about it. He said, "No, I'm too big to make these kind of to make these kind of pop up events. Like I thought it would just be something cool. A couple hundred people would show up. We turn the place out, and then we bounce. It turned into something way outside of that.
Right,
but
thousands of people showed up.
Well, and the other thing, and the reason that I don't think you can actually blame him is." There is a problem right now where young people, especially in like urban centers, are so jaded and they seem to be so just whatever, I don't care about anything, like nihilistic almost.
Yeah, oblivious to consequences.
It's not even about being oblivious to consequences. I do not think they consider the consequences to be worse than their prospects going forward, because there's no way, like with the life that I expected to live, that I would ever go and be like turning cars over and running in the stores trying to steal
stuff. You're not
stuff.
going to jump on top of somebody's car and get sturdy?
Correct.
Oh.
Correct. But
well, that's what they were doing.
There is a sense of
Trey Rags video.
No.
Trey Rags made a video basically saying what everybody was doing, and it was so crazy,
bro.
But no, it was accurate though.
Every Trey Rags video is wild. Okay,
yeah. That man, shout outs to Trey Rags on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that.
Listen, him and Long Beach Griffey are gonna be sitting on the same pew, right?
Trey Rags is funny.
right in the Devil's Cathedral when they die, because these mugs is saying all the worst stuff.
Yeah,
and it'd be hilarious.
One day we should react to some of Trey Rags stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be heavily edited.
Yeah,
because it's only so many toddlers
on YouTube.
That does not mean we're not gonna edit it, because there's only so many toddlers that can get shot in the face on this channel.
Okay.
All right. As long as we track
that's
it.
Like my favorite one.
That's what I'm saying.
That's literally my favorite video that he made.
That was the one that came to mind immediately. Okay, no, it's the worst one.
No, because in the case of that one, he was like, "You don't think I should slap this granny?" Like, it was crazy.
That is wild.
But that's how wild. Literally, that's how wild the people were acting.
But here's the problem:
they were doing everything, bro.
They were doing the absolute most. But the problem is, I can't blame Kai when they had an active shooter situation at a Lil Durk concert, and they did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact,
people wilding, bro.
It's been happening since like 2018. It's probably around there when all of the Black Lives Matter stuff was popping off, and every single time a city will have one of these police events where somebody gets unlawfully, or the community thinks is unlawfully killed. All of a sudden, you got people looting in stores and breaking into stuff and turning the whole city over. That is not a Kai problem. That's not a Lil Durk problem. That is a societal-wide problem. There are a lot of young people who are just not looking at a very bright future. And I genuinely worry that part of it is, like, our generation is struggling just to be like regular adults, like to hold down a job, to be able to buy a house, anticipate kids, being able to afford
the normal,
what are considered normal everyday staples of life.
Not being rich,
no,
but like when you look at the, trying to be an educated young adult where you have enough money to, feed yourself, house yourself, clothe yourself. But also, to be honest with you, pay back your student loans and survive. It is extremely difficult.
Well, and I was talking to Granddad about this. When you think about the fact that most people, if you're going to college, most colleges are like $25,000. If you're going to like a state college, it's like $25,000 a year if it's really inexpensive. So now I'm not talking about, there are some HBCUs that are actually way under that. There are some community colleges that are way under that where you can move the burden around. But like if you're just doing 4 years at like a VCU or a not a VSU, like a VCU or
go to George Mason, go to
any of those. Well, William and Mary and George Mason I think are private, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure they're private, but
even if they are,
I'm just talking about
even more.
I'm talking about state college. In-state tuition for most places is somewhere between 15 and 25 grand. So at 25 grand a year, you talking about 100 grand of debt.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't made a single adult dollar yet, and your first job is probably going to be somewhere between 35 and 50 grand a year,
something like that.
It's going to be so
for most people. Not all. A lot of people make way less than $35,000.
Well, and that's my point. Let's assume that you're actually getting a college education level job right out of college, which is not the majority of people who went to college, by the way. But let's
or at least not in your field, but you might find a job.
No, it's not even about being in your field. Most college educated people don't get a job that requires their degree right out of college. Usually they get some other job while they're searching for jobs.
Yeah, and I can tell you, as a twice graduated college graduate,
it
sucks because a lot of these jobs that say they require a degree also require time. Experience.
Yep.
And like I was fortunate that I landed in an internship program, right? But for a lot of people that don't have that,
right,
it is a very
yours was a lucrative paid internship.
Right.
So it wasn't like you had to take a pay cut in order to get the opportunity to take the internship in order to even have the chance of getting a job later down the line.
No, I got a pay increase.
That's what I'm saying. You got a good paid intern position that led to a good
I was
paying
blessed
job.
to find that.
But think about
I know
it.
that's a diamond in the rough.
Even if you get a $50,000 a year job, you ain't paid for housing, you ain't paid for food, your transportation.
Don't mess around and think you're gonna live alone.
Right. So now you are trying to pay back this $100,000 of debt that you started off with,
but you're still supposed to survive.
And you're hoping that you don't have to rack up additional side debt to take care of all of the necessities of getting yourself off the ground. Because no job cares about the fact that you don't have a car. So I hope your parents had you a car before you got to college, or
you
hope you figured out a way
to
get one before you were done with college, because you need transportation of some kind.
And don't mess around and get sick.
Right.
The healthcare industry is horrible.
And you really can't afford any major layouts. You can't afford to get cancer at 25. You can't afford to have any major breaks or sprains or anything like that. It's going to put you out of work.
You can't afford to take 4 days in a hospital.
Correct. You can't afford it.
To be honest with you.
Because that will be a whole year of college.
Right.
That'll be 25 grand right there.
No, probably a little more than that. But
which is crazy. But again, my point is, when you are saddling people with $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 worth of debt before they make any money, I think we are really screwing with people's ability to interface with money and to actually appropriately budget.
And participate in the economy.
Because debt is not normal.
Right.
And the way, me and Granddad were talking about it earlier, everything is geared now to have everybody basically saddled with debt as soon as you're an adult and capable of signing up for it. Credit card companies call you immediately. Like the day you turn 18, they're trying to give you credit cards. The day you turn 18, you start getting loan letters from places like, Upgrade or Level Up or whatever, some of these small loan companies. And there's nothing wrong with them when you use those tools appropriately. But the problem is they know that somebody who's 18 is not going to use it appropriately. They're going to think about it like free money, and it's not. But that's how they get you hooked. And once you're on all of this debt, they can basically sell you whatever job they want to give you, because you no longer have the option of going off and trying to figure it out for yourself. You have too much debt to pay. You got to pay these bills. And I genuinely, I've been really contending with kind of the ethos of what being free means in our country. Because somebody recently, there's a guy, I've talked about him before, Irmi, I'm not going to butcher his last name. His first name's Irmi. Funky academic. And he talks a lot about the conceptualization of freedom that the people who built this country had when they were first founding the country. We're talking your James Madison's, your Thomas Jefferson's, even up to Lincoln. Lincoln had a whole conversation. The whole reason that they had the Homesteader Act and the whole reason that he was on the 40 acre and a mule kick was because their conception of what a free man is no, an employee is just another word for serf. Right. If you don't have the ability to say, bump you, I have my own stuff, I'm not dealing with you anymore, are you really free?
And that is literally, and we're about to We're about to wrap, but that is literally what FDR was talking about when he did what he called the Economic Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Because without the economic freedom to attach to your physical freedom, you are still under the boot of some type of, debt or, like when I think about healthcare, for example.
Yeah.
How free are you if you live your life constantly afraid that you or a member of your family could potentially get sick, and that would destroy everything?
Not only
because
that,
if you're a family of 4, right?
Yeah.
You make $60,000 and your wife makes $40,000. Just to throw an example, right?
Yeah.
Y'all making $100,000 a year, but then boom, somebody in the family, whether it's the parent or the child, now you have some medical issue.
Yeah.
And that's going to cost $40,000. How free are you knowing that you live in a society where you can pay for healthcare every year, but you can't afford to use the healthcare you have?
Not only that, but how free are you when you have to have a job with a large company in order to guarantee that healthcare?
Right.
Because I can't go say, you know what? I am actually really good at repairing computers, so I'm just going to do that and make enough money to cover my bills.
And you make money. It's not in that scenario. Because you make money.
You're contributing to society. You are doing something that both brings you joy and is of value to the community. And you could potentially charge enough money to cover bills. But if you have a $40,000 medical bill at the end of that, you can't afford for that to happen. So
our healthcare system isn't set up to, if you make a regular modest amount of money, which
for
is
you
on
to be
average
able to
in this
afford
country.
any healthcare.
Right. No, you have to be saddled to either the government as a government employee, the government as a social security,
as a dependent,
Medicare, Medicaid,
or to a company.
Yeah, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Like the healthcare system is literally set up to where if you are not attached to something else, it's almost like you don't deserve healthcare. That's the way that we do it.
That is the way that they treat you. And it's not just healthcare. Our economy is actually set up like that. So the question that I have, and something that I really want to, kind of the thought that I want to leave everybody with, is we have to really start thinking about what our government should look like when the vast majority of American citizens are employees. When everybody gets one vote, and the majority of us work for somebody else, we all have to start thinking about what should our laws look like when the majority of us don't actually get a say in our workplaces. Because I don't even necessarily think that we need to change like the leadership structures in workplaces. I don't think it's a problem that we have CEOs who make top level decisions and they're looking at things from a bird eye view and they're kind of steering the ship from that vantage point. I don't think that's inherently wrong. The problem comes in when they're able to steer the ship and then reap benefits based on the way that they're steering that ship. Japan instituted a cap on the amount of CEO pay that was no more, I think originally it was no more than 10% of the lowest paid employee at that company. And they didn't allow, them to count things like contractors and things of that nature in that, they didn't allow them to subcontract out in order to try and game the numbers that way. So doing that gave companies like Kia, Hyundai, Nissan, Honda, the ability to catch up with American car manufacturers because they had such a dynamic workforce and such a enthusiastic workforce that they were able to create some of the best driving cars on the road in any country, including ours. So there was a bill that Bernie Sanders introduced, I think in 2016 maybe, that was going to do CEO pay for 1/50th. It was, no more than 50% of the lowest paid employee. But there were all of these loopholes in that bill. I could not verify if it ever got passed. It seems like it did not. I don't know that to be true.
I know what you're talking about. No, it didn't.
So, but even with that bill, when you read through it, it has so many loopholes in it. It would have been next to non-functional. So I really think the thing that we should be looking at in the next election, and I would, encourage anybody who's thinking about this seriously to contend with this idea. What do we need to be looking for from leadership when the majority of us are employees? Because that's not going to change. And if that's not going to change, we need someone to go to bat for people who have to work for somebody else and don't have a choice. And that's the majority of us, myself included. So listen, I think that's a good place to end it. This has been the Pensive Brothers Podcast. I'm Elliot.
This is Aaron.
And we are out.